Hey, so it's been another busy week this week, mainly focused on Java from a study perspective. I am really enjoying it, but I'm also very, very glad I did the pre-learning. I feel like I'm getting the syntax reasonably well, so that is kind of like the grammar of code, I suppose. So kind of in English, you'd put apostrophes and full stops and brackets, that kind of thing, and you have certain rules around where you can put those things. The same is true in Java, so you use things like curly brackets and ampersand symbols and stuff like that, but they have to be in the right places and in the right order. And that I think I've nailed. I've got it absolutely fine. If you tell me what needs writing and in what order, I can do that, no problem. That's fine. The problem I'm finding is when I'm having to work out myself what order the code should be put in. So like which calculation you do first, what you call first, that kind of thing. That seems to be taking a little bit longer to sink in. But I'm getting there. It is getting slightly easier. I posted on Twitter earlier in the week that I was getting really frustrated myself not being able to grasp the logic a lot of the time. A lot of people got back to me sympathising, empathising, saying that they totally understood. And someone recommended getting a logic book, a logic puzzle book, and that arrived yesterday. And I've done one or two of them already, and even just going from the first one to the second one, I found that my brain is starting to think about things in a slightly different way. So I think that was a really good suggestion. So thank you to the person who sent me that. I really appreciate it. It's a good tip. And yeah, so I'm hopeful if I do maybe a couple of those puzzles in the evening, my brain will start kind of just naturally thinking in a more logical way again. I used to previously I was always told I was very good at logical puzzles and assessments. So as part of the assessment process for a lot of jobs I've done, there's been a logic reasoning test, I think they're called, like diagrammatic analysis, that kind of thing. And I've always done really, really well in them. And so I think this is just, it's adding to my frustration that it just doesn't seem to be clicking at the moment. But again, I think it's just practice and I need to be patient, which is difficult for me. Yeah, so that's Java. Going well, a lot of work. I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm going to have to learn to pace myself a little bit more. In the evenings, I'm getting more sleep, which is good, but when I'm not sleeping, I'm really, really busy. So I need to prioritise a few things, I think. I'm hoping that now I'm kind of getting the hang of this editing malarkey and understand that sometimes it can take a couple of hours to encode a video and upload it. And also, I totally didn't realise, but there's this thing called symmetrical and asymmetrical internet or broadband, I can't remember the exact term, and it means that you can download things quite quickly on a normal home connection, particularly if you have like a fast broadband like I do, but uploading is totally different. I didn't appreciate this, didn't fully understand it, I still don't fully understand it, but it's been evident when I've tried to upload these videos, it takes a very long time, and if you aren't quite as observant on the first edit and decide you want to upload it and then you notice that there's a mistake, you have to go through the whole process again. So it's taught me to be more careful with the first edit, and yeah, and then hopefully I should have to upload and encode it less times, which should save me time in the long run. So that's another tip for me, to be patient, I suppose. I think that's going to be the story of these vlogs. Yeah, I don't have quite as much footage this week, extra footage from the week. I've not been very good at recording things. I've had two events I was planning on recording, and for various reasons I didn't end up recording anything. I might go into those a little bit later, but I do have some footage. I can show you the room we're training in, to show you the kind of environment we're working in, and also I did some exercise and fresh air, so I brought you outside with me to show you that as well. So I'll put that in here and I will see you after. Hello, so I just got home. As you can tell, it's a bit dark. It's about 8 o'clock now and it's Wednesday. I've just come back from a talk that was held at work, so Nationwide Building Society. It was by MongoDB. It was really interesting. I need to go and have a drink, a cup of tea and probably some dinner, and then I will talk about it a little bit more, but really enjoyed it. I've still got some video editing to do, so I don't know if I'm going to get get to bed before midnight, like is one of my goals would be, but we'll see. Good morning. Just before everyone else comes in, I thought I'd take the opportunity to show you our classroom. So there is an awful lot of us. I'll stand right at the front so you can get the scale of things. So it's quite a nice setup. Everyone has a reasonable amount of space. And then this is the front of the classroom. As you will see, lots and lots of whiteboards. Our trainer Shafiq really likes writing stuff rather than seeing slides, and actually that's a lot more engaging, even if his handwriting is a little questionable. And yeah, so this is where I am spending the next 10 and a half weeks. Right, so this is me trying to stick to my goals and get some exercise each day. I failed yesterday. I got talking to people at lunchtime and so I didn't go out for a walk, so I'm here early and I'm going to go for a walk now. Hopefully it'll wake me up a bit, and it looks like it might rain later, so going this morning is probably a good idea. Yeah, it's really lovely. It's very quiet and peaceful and yeah, just nice and calm and tranquil. So let's see how this goes. And I'm done. So it took me about 15-20 minutes. I feel much more awake, so hopefully that's a good start to the day. And maybe I'll try doing this, because then if I don't get a chance to go during lunch, then at least I've already done some exercise and got some fresh air. So I've done two things at once. Go me. On my way to Bristol to a meetup. They're going to be talking about something called red teaming and machine learning, so it should be quite interesting. And I have healthy snacks to avoid me eating too much pizza. Morning. This video is to remind myself to tell you all how much I hate getting up in the mornings. See you later. Hey, so I thought I'd get here early and record a bit of a video about last night, the meetup that I went to. I was going to do it last night, but I don't know, I felt a bit... It was a really good meetup, really interesting talks. I just felt a bit angry and frustrated about the whole situation. And I still don't feel like I'm in the right frame of mind to talk about it in the most constructive way. So I might go for a walk instead, and I will do this later tonight. So, as I mentioned before, we've been doing Java this week, finding it manageable but tricky, and yeah, I'm noticing that my brain just isn't functioning in the same way that I'm used to, and I'm assuming it's just overloaded with information at the moment and that it will settle down. But like stuff like focusing on the training, absolutely fine, can pay attention for the full 7 hours each day. The work stuff I'm doing in the evening, totally on the ball with that, catching up with emails, that kind of thing, know exactly who I need to respond to and when. Stuff like choosing dinner, or what I need to buy from the supermarket, or which way I need to go to get up the right escalators in John Lewis, totally confuses me. Like, my brain just stops working. I can't think of any other way to describe it other than I just can't get the information inside my brain. Like, I can see it in front of my eyes, what I need to do or think about, but I can't get it into my brain to think about and process. So that's a little bit weird and mildly concerning, but I think it is just kind of information overload at the moment. My brain is trying to prioritise particular bits of information to keep and focus on and process, and trying to work out which bits it needs to retain. And I'm obviously trying to think too much, and it's not letting me focus on the stuff that I didn't realise I was having to put a lot of effort in, like deciding what to have for dinner each night and going to the supermarket, but obviously took a lot more thought process than I appreciated, and yeah, it's starting to show. So that is the weird kind of thing that I'm finding with this course at the moment, but I'm hopefully, like I say, hopefully that should subside soon as I get used to the training a bit more. So, as you'll know, if you've read my last blog and a previous week's vlog, I set myself a few challenges again. So I wanted to improve my the amount of fresh air I was getting and the amount of exercise I was doing. I'm not going to do anything too hardcore, but I just realised I wasn't moving for a lot of the day, and I have over 2 hour round commute each day. So I was just being very sedentary basically and not getting outside very much, and it was starting to take its toll on me. The first week I managed to do nothing, which I kind of forgive myself for because just getting into the routine, total kind of information overload, prioritising sleeping and resting over going outside and fresh air. This week, though, I thought it would be good to make that a priority. So getting some fresh air and doing a little bit of exercise, just walking. And I think that has actually really helped my focus in the classroom. I don't feel sleepy in the afternoons now. I don't feel like I need a coffee or sugar. So yeah, I think going for a walk either first thing in the morning or at lunchtime. I've done it once. I've done it both times for one day, so that was good. I felt extra refreshed. So yeah, I'm gonna try and keep that up this week. I managed it 3 days, and I'm gonna do it next week and try and do the same amount or a little bit more, hopefully. But the other goal that I set myself was to go to a community event each week, and this week I managed to go to 2, which is really good. I'm not quite sure which one I'm going to in this coming week, so I might have to count last week's as one for each week. So I went to, and I don't think I had any footage of this, but the MongoDB DB event. You can read a little bit more about it in my blog this week. It was really good, really interesting. I went back to Nationwide's head office for it. It's one of their series of regular tech talks that they do. They get some industry leaders to come in and talk about their new technologies. I was a little bit suspect when they first announced that they were doing these talks because, I don't know, I've been to some conferences where these talks are more just sales pitches, I suppose. But that isn't the case. I've been to quite a few of these talks now, and in each time I've learned something. It's been really engaging, and it's really nice to see how these big technology companies are working with Nationwide to find some new solutions to our problems, or just help us find new technologies to help us work in a different way. And it's quite exciting knowing that we're, as a company, we're genuinely trying to embrace change, and knowing that I'm working in this environment is really nice and quite comforting, because I, as a person, quite like change. I like feeling that we're evaluating all the options and are choosing the right one, not just because this is what we've always done. So that's quite exciting for me and really nice. So yeah, we heard from MongoDB. They're a database company, is how I describe them anyway. I'm sure they describe themselves slightly differently. And they have a very different way of storing their data to traditional databases. So I think traditional databases are called relational databases, and MongoDB is a non-relational database, I think. And so that just means it stores its data in a different way, basically, and it can have various benefits. There are a few perceived downsides, but I think they're working quite hard to change people's perception of that and convince people that they're a valid alternative to the older, more traditional relational databases, and I think also they said that you could do the relational databases within MongoDB as well. So that was quite interesting. They also mentioned microservice architecture very briefly, which I'm really interested in. I'm at the moment anyway, and I'll talk about this in a bit more detail in a few weeks' time. At week 6 of the course, we get to choose which specialisation we want to go into. There's either DevOps or software engineering, which is more programmy. I'm really looking forward to, well, at the moment I feel like I want to go down the DevOps route. So some of the tooling and the infrastructure, that kind of thing, have a little bit of a background there already, but using a lot of legacy systems, and so it tends to be like huge monolith technology stacks, and I'm really curious to see how the newer technologies can help break that up and create something called microservices, which are, I'm not the right person to be explaining this, but it's like lots of little services that aren't too interdependent on each other, so they don't have, you still need to talk to each other, but you're not totally reliant on one, so if one went away it wouldn't totally break the rest of your system. So that was really interesting to hear a little bit more about, and hopefully I'll learn more about that in a few weeks' time. And yeah, it was just nice to go back to the office and see some friendly faces, catch up with people, or not that the group aren't friendly, they're lovely, honestly. Probably didn't sound quite so good, but yeah, no, it was just nice to catch up with people I haven't spoken to for a while. Also good to make sure my pass still works, so I'm still allowed in the building, which was a bit of a relief. And yeah, it was a really nice evening. There was cupcakes and t-shirts, which was nice. Sugar, which has kept me going over it'd been a long day, so it was nice to get a little bit of a sugar hit. And yeah, and then the following day, all of us from the course that attended the talk decided to wear our MongoDB t-shirts just to confuse our trainer. I think he was a little bit jealous that we didn't get him one, but we know for next time. And so the second event I went to, I don't know how much I'm going to talk about this, so I'm just going to start and we'll see where I end up. So it sounded really interesting. It's topics one topic I've not covered at all, and that is machine learning. And the person who was talking showed us a real world application of how machine learning could be used. And so their talk was on a water heating system. So it was like just in time hot water, so you're not preemptively heating hot water and then potentially not using it. So the idea is that the machine learns your habits and when you're likely to need hot water, and so it can provide water at the right temperature just when you need it, which kind of sounds straightforward, but once he explained it and went into a bit more detail, I was like, oh, that's actually really, really interesting and quite complicated. You have to think about weird stuff as well when you're creating these kind of things, particularly if they're going to be used by consumers. So things like, how much information do you give the customer about machine learning and how it works? Because do you want them to think that it's going to be amazing, but then actually there is a reasonable error margin for machine learning, particularly initially as it learns your habits? Or do you want to give them lots of information so they understand that it's a really complicated process and it might not be very smooth to start with, or will that confuse them? So finding just the right level of information is quite a challenge, and I hadn't considered that at all. And I think that's what, for me, makes technology really interesting, is how you make it work in the real world with real humans, real people just going about their daily lives, and how you're going to help them as a technologists make their life easier. I think it poses some really interesting questions, and I totally hadn't thought about it when it came to machine learning and the general public's understanding of it. So yeah, it was really interesting, and I've not really done anything around machine learning before or even read anything, so it was totally new. But the talk was really good. It was done in a really understandable way. Some of the algorithms went over my head completely, but I got the gist of what they were trying to do. And yeah, I feel like I learned quite a lot actually, and gave me a better appreciation of some of the challenges around machine learning. So that was good. And the other talk that night was on something called red teaming. So this is where a company goes into or tries to enter other offices, other companies' offices on behalf of that company. They've asked them to do it, but they're not told when they're going to do it. So they try and enter other companies' offices with a view of trying to connect to their technology stack and their computers. And yeah, so I had a little bit of an understanding about this because I used to work in an operations bridge and data centre, and so we were always, it was quite security focused, so there was a lot of security processes around signing people in, making sure people were booked in to do the work they said they were doing, and there were a lot of checks to do basically. So I understood that this is something that happens, that has happened in the real world and been used to hack into big companies' systems. and can sometimes cause quite devastating effects, really, and how important it is to make sure you secure yourself against these things. And also how much of a lot of companies try and push the problem onto the people, so their employees, around, well, you need to do these checks and these checks and these checks. And the point that the gentleman who was talking was making was that actually we have a lot of technology these days that can do all this stuff for us. There are ways to prevent people coming into buildings and not letting them send emails to people, and not being able to download attachments, that kind of thing. And so his big point was that I think he's had a few instances where he's gone into buildings and managed to gain access to quite high level data, and then the big bosses in the company have asked him, well, who gave you that information? Who gave you permission to go into that area? And he's refused to give them their details because it's not necessarily their fault. You can never guard 100% against human error, I don't think. And in this day and age, there are things that we can do from a technological perspective to support people who are in those kind of roles, and we should. So that was really interesting to gain his insights from the other side, kind of thing. And yeah, it sounds like a really, I don't know, it was very James Bond-esque. It was kind of cool and fun. I don't know if it's something I'd want to do. It seemed a little bit lonely at times, but they seemed to have a very close-knit team, which again seemed quite fun. And yeah, it's just quite exciting, really. And so that was a really interesting talk, just to get someone else's perspective on the issue. So yeah, I'm trying to. I really enjoyed the talks. I think they were brilliant presenters. They were quite engaging. They made it easy to understand, and were welcome to have any questions. However, the one thing that frustrated me and actually left me in quite a bad mood for the rest of the week, really, was I walked in there and it was a totally, well, not totally new, but a newish bit of town. I don't really go to that bit very often, and so it was dark, it was wet. I'd found my way there. I got into the building and I walked in, and it was just 100 men basically, and I don't know whether someone on Twitter mentioned because I'm particularly tired and worn out, and I think that might be part of it, but I just felt really intimidated, and I think that takes quite a lot to intimidate me. I'm not the most shy person. I have a reasonable amount of confidence, and I felt a little bit overwhelmed, to the extent that had my my boyfriend not been with me, I'd have probably gone home, and that left me feeling a little bit, well, quite a lot rubbish, really. Particularly after last week, with me saying that, oh, you should definitely go to these community events, they're really good fun, they're really welcoming, you'll enjoy yourself. I kind of felt like a bit of a hypocrite, and yeah, and I don't know, I think I've just not realised that. I think I naively assumed that things were getting better in the tech industry, and to a certain extent I think they are for a certain demographic. I think things have improved a huge amount from where we were 10, 20 years ago. But I'm white, I'm cisgendered, female, woman, nothing out of the ordinary particular, apart from the fact that I'm a woman working in tech, which is a little unusual, I suppose. But yeah, if me, with all my privileges, that all those things give me, then, and I felt uncomfortable, then how the hell is other people who don't have those privileges, how are they going to feel? And it kind of gave me a bit of a reality check, really. I don't want to labour the point too much, because I think you know what I'm getting at, but it really it really shocked me and brought me back to reality and made me realise that actually a lot of the things I've been saying in this vlog and on my blog have kind of put the effort on the person who is in the underrepresented group to make the effort and to force through change. And that's all well and good, but if you're not listened to or you don't feel safe and supported, then that's not possible. And yeah, there needs to be more done to make people feel comfortable and included and part of these events, and that they belong in technology. It's been a very long time since I've had any negative things happen to me going to a tech event, but I just brought all the memories back of when there's some really uncomfortable situations that I wasn't particularly proud of letting happen, and yeah, I don't want to be putting other people in that kind of position. So I do think that community events are really important, and if you've got the confidence to go along, or you can bring a friend along, then definitely go. They're brilliant. Some of them aren't coordinated in the best way, or don't think things through about how to make them more inclusive, but from a learning perspective, they're really good. But if you don't feel safe, or you feel uneasy, or it's just not something that appeals to you either, then don't. I don't want anyone to be in that situation where they're made to feel that they have to do something for their career. It's not on you to do that work. It's on us to change things. So yeah, I want to apologise for making it sound like you need to do these things if you want to get ahead. You don't at all. But yeah, it shouldn't be on you to change things all by yourself. We need to make things more inclusive, and so I'm looking at ways that I can do that in the environment I'm in, the community, in my company. Yeah, I'm going to try and do everything I can to not only encourage people to come into tech that potentially haven't thought about it before or don't feel that it's for them, but also when they get here, make them feel included and make it a safe environment for them to work in. Right, so now that's out of it. Oh, actually, another thing. I know diversity and inclusion is a little bit of a buzzword, a bit gimmicky. Lots of companies are using it at the moment to show off their credentials, that they know about all these issues and they're here to look after you. But I genuinely think diversity is important, and by the very fact that you need a more diverse workforce means you need to be more inclusive. And I think having a diverse workforce that is comfortable and happy and safe means that you will make a better product. It's not about ticking boxes at all. It will get you a better product that appeals to more of the market, that will make you more money. And so you should be doing this for moral and ethical reasons, but if you're not, then think about the bottom line. You will make more money if you have a product that has been created by a diverse group of people. Right, sorry, I just I felt I needed to say all that, so hopefully you're still watching. And so next week, this coming week, I am quite busy with extracurricular work stuff, I suppose, so work stuff outside of the course. We have an internal competition run every year called the Arthur Webb Challenge Cup, and so you're encouraged to get into teams to solve a particular problem that interests you and appeals. And so I am in a team. I might explain a little bit more in another video, but we're quite excited about what we're working on, and we just basically have to get that group up and running now, basically. So I'll probably be doing a little bit of prep work around that. Also, what else am I doing? Oh yeah, so for the course we have an individual project to do by the end of week 6, or even the beginning of week 6, I think, and so I need to focus on that really. At the moment, all the stuff we're learning, I don't know how it's all going to fit together, and I'm going to be able to make something. We have to be able to make a hang on, let me think, a CRUD application, which means that it's an application that you can create, read, update and delete stuff on, I think. I hope I've got that right. And so I have no idea how this, so I understand what one of them is, and I have a couple of ideas, but I have no idea how what we've learned is going to allow me to make one of them. So I'm kind of hoping this week it might all fall into place and we'll suddenly learn how to make a website. So we'll see. That will be interesting. I'm going to do potentially a brainstorming session. I've had one idea, which is basically to create a website to host my vlogs and my blogs and all my content on, and allowing people to comment and ask questions. But I don't know, it just kind of feels a little dull. So if anyone's got any suggestions for any cool, reasonably beginner-friendly projects, then let me know, because that would be really good. If I could do something a little bit different. And what else am I doing? Let me see my list. I think that's it, actually. I'm not going to set any more targets. I'm going to keep up the ones that I'm doing currently. So the exercise and fresh air, I think, is essential to my sanity. And the meetups, I'm going to go along. I'll probably, after the shock of this week, I'll probably go to some that if there's any on, that I've been to before and I know I'll feel quite comfortable in. And I will bring you along to those, because I want to show you what nice meetups really look like. And yes, so I'm going to keep up that one. And I think I'm going to try and do a little bit more study in the evenings as well. I've been trying to do a bit, and I'm going to be doing my logic puzzles that I spoke about earlier, with the logic book, which is quite good. And also just a little bit more of self-study, learning a bit more about the concepts behind what we've been doing each day. Up till now, I've been doing a bit, but my focus has been on just trying to let my brain rest a little bit, and also learning how to edit these vlogs and faff about with uploading them and encoding them and all the shenanigans that go with that. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable with that. It doesn't take very long, or doesn't take as long, and so I shouldn't have to be doing that in the evenings, so I've got more time for study. And yeah, I think overall it's going really, really well. I need to work a little bit more on my work-life balance, I think. I've been working quite long hours and other extracurricular stuff, and a little bit of social stuff as well. It's really hard to try and fit everything in, and not feel like you're missing out, and still get enough rest. So I'm going to try and have a bit more balance this week, I think. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm really enjoying everything. I'm really excited about where this can take me and what opportunities it will open up, what kind of roles I can now consider looking at, give me the confidence to apply for some roles that I was maybe potentially suitable for before, but I just didn't feel like I had the technical background to be useful in it, or how I would view competent. So yeah, that's quite interesting and an exciting place to be in. And yeah, I'm looking forward to another week of Java. I'm hoping it sinks in a bit more, and I know it's not going to get to the point this soon where it becomes second nature, but just where I feel a little bit more comfortable with, oh, that's the problem, this is how I'm going to solve it. So yeah, that's it, and I will speak to you soon.